Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate something called simple interest. For those of you who don't know, interest is either money earned or money paid. So a lot of times when you open a bank account, you can have what they call earn interest. So if you put $100 in account, they'll give you a percentage of that money. So let's say they give you 2%. You would get 2% of $100, which is $2, and then they would add that to your account. Or you can pay an interest rate, like in the applications problem that we did, where you had to pay almost 23% in credit card fees. So that's an interest rate that you have to pay. That's a penalty that you could have to pay. A lot of times with loans and credit cards, you pay an interest. So we're starting with what we call simple interest, and that's exactly what it is. It's incredibly simple. So this I stands for an interest. You're going to figure out how much that interest is. How much is it you're going to pay to that credit card company, or how much would you earn? Simple interest is different than compound, which you'll learn about later. A compound interest is when things keep doubling or keep going and going and going, and simple is what it sounds like, very simple. So first you have to know what these variables mean. So the I stands for the interest earned. Okay, so you are finding the amount of interest, whether earned by you or earned by the company that now took your money. Okay, P stands for the principal amount. That is the amount of money that is invested, either the amount of money that you put in a savings account or the amount of money on that credit card. It's the amount of money invested. Okay, the R is the interest rate, which is always going to be a percent, whether it's 2% the bank gives you or 23% that the credit card charges you. However, when you go to plug that percent into this problem, it cannot remain a percent. It has to be changed to a decimal before you plug it in the problem. That is huge and important, and where most mistakes are made when doing this. Just like when we did equations, solving percent problems with equations, that percent has to be changed to a decimal. And finally, T is the time in years. It is the time in years that money, that interest is accumulating, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, whatever it is. That's going to be time in years when you're doing simple interest. So that is what those are. Get that written down because I'm about to erase it. Okay. So usually you have a pretty simple problem where it can say, okay, you invest $250 in the bank at a 2.3% rate for 5 years. Okay, so basically we need to pull out what number are we going to plug in for P, what number are we going to plug in for R, and what number are we going to plug in for T. Basically, we're going to plug those numbers in. Remember, this means multiplication, and we're just going to multiply those three numbers. So principal is, again, your original amount of money, with the amount of money invested, which in this case is the $250. R is your interest rate, but you need to change that percent to a decimal. We are not going to plug 2.3 in for R. We're going to change that to a decimal and plug in 0.023. Okay, we move that decimal point to the left 2 places to get that percentage. And then finally, our time in years is 5. So our interest is equal to $250 times 0.023 times 5. So all I have to do now is pick up my calculator and multiply those three numbers together. 250 times 0.023 times 5. The answer I get is $28.75. So in 5 years, if you have simple interest, you would earn $28.75. If all they want to know is the interest, you can stop here. If they want to know the total amount of money that you have in your account, remember, that's the interest you've earned plus the 250 you put in there. So if they want to know a total, you would have to add those together, and we would get $278 Okay, that's pretty simple. I don't really need to do another example, but I will warn you that sometimes you will have a problem similar to this one. Okay, but we'll put that back. Instead of 5 years, they may say something like 6 months. Okay, so in this case, our P is still 250, our rate is still 0.023. But time, remember that time is in years. This is not years. 6 months is not years. Do not plug 6 in for T. 6 months is half a year. Okay, there are 12 months in a year and 6 is half of that. If they were to say something like 18 months, that is 1.5 years. So if they give you months, you're going to have to figure out how many years that is. They won't do that very often, but every once in a while a problem like that might get slipped in. So do be careful if they give it to you in months instead of years, because T does mean in years.